right. Good evening and welcome to our Candidates Forum. We have a sort of an unusual situation this year in that we have no contested races, and but some of the candidates have been kind enough to come, and hopefully you'll learn something about them tonight, about your elected town officials, and a couple people who would like to be elected. And just remember that the election is April 5th, Saturday, April 5th. Hope everybody gets out to vote. And we're going to have the candidates start off by introducing themselves and saying a little bit about themselves, as we always do. And then I'm just going to open the floor up for any questions that you might have of any or all of the candidates. And we'll start out with Chris Ruwine, who is running for a seat on the Finance Committee.
Thank you. Let me introduce myself. I'm Christian Ruwine. I've been a Middleborough resident since 2010. I have 3 boys in the school system, and as you can see from my gray hair, the oldest is in high school and driving. I have a bachelor's degree in accounting from Bridgewater State. I have my master's in taxation from Bentley University, and I'm currently enrolled in an MBA finance program at Nicholas College. I recently completed 20 years in the military as a U.S. Air Force firefighter. I have a private experience as a staff accountant for a private software company, and I am also in my current position an auditor for the federal government. I will bring my work experience and education to the committee, and I'm looking forward to serving the town of Middleborough. Is there any questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, we'd like to thank you for your military service to the country. And how does your work experience relate to this position?
Good question. Well, in my private sector as an accountant, I would, at the company, I would help build budgets, go over financial statements, and I create accounting records. And then in my current position as a federal auditor, I go out to companies and I review their books, I review their financial statements, and I feel that can be a great asset of reviewing financial statements and budgets with the town. Yes?
Hi, what prompted you to run for this office?
I recently completed my military career in the reserves, and that was a 1 weekend, 2 weekends, couple weeks every year. And so once I completed that, I had all this free time, and I was looking what I could do with that free time, and I think this would be interesting and a fun position to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How would you vote for the reserve account?
Great question. I know the reserve account is taken to the town for the finance committee, and it's supposed to be used for emergencies in the town. And I would take that into consideration for what's happening in the town and Middleborough residents and what they need for that. Is there any other questions?
Yeah, maybe they'll have some more later.
Okay.
Okay. Next we'll have Brian Giovannoni, who is a member of the school committee running for re-election.
Thank you, Jane, and thank you, COA, for hosting this event. My name is Brian Giovannoni. For those of you who don't know me, I've been on the school committee now for just almost 3 years, my first term. I've been very active locally in town, as many have seen me on TV, on selectmen's meetings, etc. What I found is it took me almost a year and a half, almost 2 full years to really understand the role that I play on the school committee. Other than asking questions, it is a learning experience. 3 years ago I came out here, I talked about increasing the safety and security of our schools, which we've been working on. Even what we would call our district emergency response team, the DIRT team. We talked about maintaining our facilities. We just hired a facilities director finally, both in the school and town-wide, which is working towards making sure our buildings do get maintained. He's really getting his his feet wet with what's going on and what our current status of our buildings are. And then transparency and budget, which I walked out of here 3 years ago at that meeting with a budget in hand, and I posted it, and then it got posted, the school one did actually post it themselves. So I'm going to continue with that, but my big focus for my next 3 years is I want to maintain our school enrollment. I want to look at what the reasons why we have our students going to Bristol Plymouth, and maybe is there something we can offer in our schools. So I really want to look at that with our school committee. Commitment to our community involvement. The school committee has always sat kind of to the side, and one thing that we've been doing as a school committee, all 6 of us have been going through training ourselves, professional development, and in that professional development, one of the big things we've learned is we need to be out in the community, we need to be talking to the community more. That way people know what we have going on, and when we have something very important to get out, everyone knows it before, before the big announcement or something. So if we need to purchase something or do a roof on a building, people need to know about it before it's too late, and that's one of our big pushes. And then, as always, we look at test scores, but it's not test scores, it's about student growth and student success. So we want to look at, make sure that our students are succeeding, and as Mr. Gillis might mention, we've seen a complete administration turnover in the last 3 years since he and I were elected. So I ask for your vote on April 5th. I hope I've been serving you well, and I hope to continue to serve you well. Thank you. And if there's any questions, you want to wait till after Mr. Gillis?
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
All right, the other candidate for the school committee this year is Richard Gillis.
Good evening and welcome. I too would like to thank the Middleborough Gazette and the COA for sponsoring this. My name is Richard Gillis. I am a lifelong resident of Middleborough, having been here since 1952. I am one of 12 children. I have 11 siblings, and all 12 of us are graduates of Middleborough High School. We all went to school here. I hold a bachelor's degree in mathematics from UMass. I hold a master's degree and a CAGS degree in leadership from Bridgewater State College. I have been teaching this is my 40th year teaching. I retired in 2009, and for the past 4 out of 5 years, I have been going around to different area schools, filling in as a long-term sub, teaching mathematics for people who are out on some type of medical leave or something like that. I currently work for the Carver Public Schools. I've been there since the end of October, and I'm expected to be there till the end of June. Since I retired, schools have changed. They have changed all along my 35-year career as a teacher. I taught in Middleborough for 24 years before leaving here and going to Bridgewater, Rainham, from where I retired. I am also finishing up my first term on the school committee. I wasn't sure if I wanted to run again. I decided to. It has been enjoyable. It is challenging. What I bring to the table is I know how schools work behind the scenes. I've been there, I've done that, so I see both sides, and I'm able to carry on discussions concerning both sides that perhaps some members who are not in education can do. When I ran 3 years ago, I ran on what I called the ABCs. A was for accountability, as Brian mentioned. I believe we have brought accountability to the district. We have new administrators in place. B was for believability. I'm not sure we're there yet. I hope we're getting there. What I mean by that is I want the public and the community and all the stakeholders to believe in what the schools are doing. And if we do, then hopefully we can get the community involved even more than what they are. The community of Middleborough is very good to the schools. We know that. We know these are tough times. These are tough times for everybody. But these are also our kids. I ask for your vote on April 5th, and I look forward to serving another 3 years. Thank you. Questions now?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Brian. Thanks so long, pal.
So do people have questions for the school committee candidate? Somebody must have.
Yes.
For both of you, what do you feel is the biggest challenge
facing you in the school system? Is it test scoring? Is it, I mean, besides the fact of the accreditation in the high school, something other than that?
I personally look at if I could get the state to actually give us the money they keep promising us, instead of 50%, 40%, 30%, whether it's on transportation or special education. I mentioned it last Monday night. There's a $600,000 hole in the special education budget that we provide the services and the state's supposed to pay it. If we could get the state to pay their part of it, we'd be in a much better place. I think that's one of the biggest problems we run into right now, because I don't look at test scores face value. I look at growth scores of children. I think that's where we have to look at more of.
Clearly, for me, the mandates from the state, what a lot of people don't realize is that some of the things we provide, we have no choice. We are told that we have to provide these things, and they do cost money, and these mandates come to us, but the check doesn't come along with it.
Yes.
So we have no choice. A lot of our budget is, you know, for those kinds of things, and we have no choice. With the new testing, the PARCC testing, you know, Massachusetts does very well with math MCAS. We have since it came in about, I don't know, late 90s. Now the state wants to change that. There's mandates there. In order to do that, the kids need to take these tests by way of computers. That means laptops for many districts. There's a big money issue there. We have no choice. We have to do it. These are mandates that come through, not funded. That's the frustrating part. You know, they come through, but the money doesn't come through. So it has to come from us, the taxpayers. It has to come from other places. The state says do this, but you know how it works. No check comes with it. Very frustrating.
And it's not new. This has been going on for years. It's not just something that happened last year. This has been ongoing for probably since you've been teaching.
Probably before. You mentioned the test scores. As an educator, the test scores will come. When kids are taught the standards, when teachers teach to the standards, you're not teaching to the test, you're teaching concepts. That's going to come in time. The PARCC test even, we're sure that's going to go through. You know, it's a different level of a test, if you will. It's layered. That will come through in time. What we have going on, I believe, beginning next week is Middleborough has been chosen, if you will, by the state, along with other schools in this district, to have our kids take the PARCC test. We're going to get no data from that. Now, what's the state going to do when they get the data back, which a lot of people think is not going to be very good? When I say a lot of people, I'm not talking Middleborough people. I'm talking about people in education. We have no idea. So these kids are out of class. This week I have sophomores who missed 3 days of math classes. You know, that's learning, that's time in the classroom that they're not there, that they have to make up. I have to make up with them. You know, and there's more coming. So it's a lot of things like that that are very, very frustrating in education. Back in the day when I was a kid, we didn't have this kind of stuff. But it's here now, and it has been here for a long time. And when I say a kid, I mean in high school.
Thank you.
Are there other questions? What do the two of you think about a national curriculum?
The core,
Yeah.
the Common Core. Well, I had a discussion with a teacher last week, specific with my son, and after we discussed the situation that was going on with my son in his class, I mentioned the question of the Common Core. And from the teacher's side of it is, the quote was, I wish they would just choose something and stick with it. Because if they keep changing it every 3 to 5 years, they have to create a whole new curriculum every 3 to 5 years, and it takes them 3 years just to get started with this curriculum, and they change it again. I have my own personal feelings towards it, that what is taught here and what is taught in Mississippi are two different things. I think that the Common Core is supposed to level that playing field so that a 6th grader in Massachusetts will be the same educated 6th grader in Mississippi. I think it's great for Mississippi. I don't think it's great for Massachusetts, because Massachusetts was one of the top in the country, top states in the country, and if you reel it back, I don't think that that's a benefit to our students here. But that's my own personal feeling towards the Common Core. But just if they would just pick something, and as the teacher said to me, I don't want to change it again. I'd rather just stick with it and let's just go with it and keep moving with it, because it takes several years just to get up to speed on what the curriculum is going to be. And Richard, you teach, so.
I teach math, and the math standards, the MCAS has been around for a long time. We were one of the first to go, math and English. And back then, when I was a department chair, I found the fact that we finally had some standards that we had to stick to, although they were our state standards, based on the math frameworks, MCCAM frameworks. It was an excuse for me as a department head to get everybody to be on board. I had somebody to blame. And not that I really needed it, but it certainly gave me an extra leg up to sort of get people in my department to do what it is that we needed to do as a department and as a school to improve grades, and we did that. Massachusetts has been a model with our MCAS stuff. And now you have the Common Core coming out. It's not a favorite of math people. It's not a favorite of educators. There are several states who are fighting it. And so me personally, I think what we have is fine. I think what we have has worked. I think we certainly have raised our grades. And now in the middle of all this, we're changing, we're midstream, we're changing. And it really isn't fair to our kids. It's not fair to the lower level kids, the kids in the lower level grades. I don't think. So I personally am not a fan of it. I think what we have has done well. Other states have used Massachusetts as a model.
Anything else?
You two both seem to be very opposed to like the Common Core and the testing. Do you have any plans to maybe, you mentioned that Mississippi and Massachusetts being better than Mississippi, that being higher performing. Do you have any maybe to raise the standards for Massachusetts or Middleborough, raise the standards and
Well,
make us up?
as Richard was just saying about the standards that we have had in place with the MCAS, Massachusetts was a model for the country. States like Minnesota, Virginia, and Massachusetts were tops in the country. Why take someone who's tops in the country and make them change to something else? If you have the best of if you have the best, you don't change from the best to something that's different because everyone else is doing it. If anything, you try to get everyone else to become best with you, and then you're all at the top. That's what I was more concerned with. As far as Middleborough, we have to adhere to the core because that's what the state is forcing us to do. There are communities that are trying to fight it, even local communities that are talking about trying to fight the Common Core and fight against it and tell the state, no, we don't want to do it. But I don't see that being a success in the long run because your teachers are in limbo at that point. And you're going to have teachers coming up that are going to be having taught or having learned the Common Core. New teachers are going to be teaching that. If you bring new teachers into other communities that don't adhere to that core, they're not going to be able to succeed, and their students aren't going to be able to succeed. But as far as Middleborough, we're moving to the standard just like anyone else. We have to do it. I feel bad for someone who's in a high school senior or junior who is getting mixed up in all this at this point. But like Richard said, the younger ones are really caught in that limbo because they've been taught a certain way for 3 or 4 or 5 years, and now they're going to be taught or expected to know something in 6th grade, which is what my son is expected to know something in 6th grade that he hasn't been taught. So it's that transition that we're running into right now that is the hiccup. Hopefully, with a new math program in the middle school for after school, these kids will be able to catch up.
Do you want to continue on that?
I don't really have too much more to say than what Brian said. There are groups out there of educators who meet as groups, and then they meet with a commission or a board or whatever it's called on the state level, or, you know, the higher ups. There are PAC groups out there where I work in Carver. My department head is a member of that group, and she's away maybe a couple of times a month, and they do it that way. As an individual, there's probably nothing I can do. You know, the only thing I can tell you is kids have been successful with what we had. We had a good model. Did we need it back then? Yes, we did. Yes, we did, and it tremendously helped me as a department chair because that was another piece of, another stick, if you will, that I could use to get people to do what it was that they had to do. You know, you have to be here on a certain day, here on another certain day. The stuff that you have to cover, all of those discussions took place. there was what we call writing across the curriculum that took place. And yes, you can write in math. So we, in mathematics, we have been doing that for a while. I work with some kids in town and how I help them with their math. And there's a new math program here. And just the way some of the stuff is layered, it's the younger kids that really are, they're caught in that middle. And until this, goes on for a couple of years and we know what the real testing is going to look like, we don't know that yet. We don't know what we're only guessing, just like when the MCAS test first came out, we only guessed what it looked like. Teachers do not get to look at this test a week before and say, okay, this is going to be on the test. You don't do that. You don't get those. Very secure instruments that you deal with. And the PAC is going to be exactly the same way. The only thing I can tell you is that the questions are layered. It involves reading, which is good. But it's layered, and it's layered in such a way that it's really can be very difficult for these younger kids. It's those younger kids that I feel sorry for. And I felt the same way back when the MCAS first counted for high school graduation requirement back in, I believe it was 2001, but don't hold me to that date. I'm old enough. So I'm sure you experienced the MCAS. Thank you.
Did you have a question? Okay, we'll bring up the selectman candidate.
Thank you.
The first candidate is Diane Stewart, who would like to be a selectman, who has done a number of things in town so far, and barring any unusual circumstance, she will be a selectman very soon.
As my dad rather pointedly said to me, someone still has to vote for you. So even though I'm on the ballot and unopposed, someone still has to vote for me. So I hope you all go out and vote on April 5th. Thank you, Jane. As Jane said, my name is Diane Stewart, and I'm running for a spot on the Board of Selectmen. Thank you all for being here tonight. It's not a huge group tonight, but I'm really appreciative of anyone that comes out to hear all of us talk. I've lived in Middleborough my whole life. I'm a product of the Middleborough school system. I actually had Mr. Gillis for math when I was in high school. Phenomenal educator right there. I'm also an attorney, and I'm a volunteer. That's primarily why I'm here tonight to talk to you. I have a passion for this town and for volunteering. I know that many of you know me by now. I've had a lot of support from the residents of Middleborough, and it was actually last year that I stood up here because a couple of the residents encouraged me to run on the board for the Board of Selectmen last year. So this is my second try for the Board of Selectmen, and again, barring anything weird, hopefully I'll be sitting up at with the other four in a couple weeks. But some boring things, or maybe not so boring, but things that I would list on my resume include a bachelor's degree from Wheaton College, a law degree from Roger Williams University School of Law. I organized a pro bono conciliation program back in 2009 for Bristol County, and I continue to run that today. I did a 2-year stint with the AmeriCorps program in New Bedford. For those of you that aren't familiar with AmeriCorps, it's similar to the Peace Corps, but it's on a national level, and there are many different programs that are involved with it. And also, I've been in private law practice since 2011. I'd also include on my resume that I opened up my own law practice right downtown in Middleborough a couple of months ago. So Stewart, Gora, and Doobie, if you have any legal needs, you can let me know. And what I'm most proud of, though, is the committees and the commissions that I've been on here in Middleborough. I started off on the Finance Committee back in 2010. I was also on the Capital Planning Committee, the Green School Preservation Committee. I'm on the Conservation Commission right now, the Friends of the Herring Run, and the Commission on Disability. In the 4+ years that I've been involved in town government, I've also seen that its volunteers in this town are really what make this town run and what make it work so well. I've seen the compassion that the residents of this town have had for each other through the magic of Facebook. I've seen many, many people and many residents helped out by other residents. When I was growing up, and again, I grew up in Middleborough, but when I was growing up, we used to joke, my friends and I used to joke that we couldn't wait to graduate and go to college and get out of Middleborough is what we used to joke. But with age comes wisdom, and I've learned that Middleborough has a lot to offer. And I think it's something that younger people don't necessarily realize when you're growing up here, but it's a small suburban town, but it has a lot to offer. And what makes Middleborough so great is not the location of the town, but the people in the town. I had a great upbringing here, and I chose to come back here to build my business, and I intend to continue to add to Middleborough's value with my volunteering. A couple of the things that I hope I can work on with the rest of the Board of Selectmen over the next 3 years are seeing if we don't have to raise the taxes the full 2.5% every year. It might be that we have to every year, but I'd like to look into that and see what it is that justifies raising the taxes to the state's maximum of 2.5% every year. I'd like to continue to work with the Board of Selectmen to bring in more business and bring tourism into town. I'd like to be able to look elsewhere for income, such as grants and any state matching funds that might be available whenever possible. Work to steadily maintain our infrastructure and our capital plan. We were without a capital plan for a pretty long time, and just over the last few years, we've started back up with that, so I'd like to make sure that that continues. And most important, I'd like to get other residents involved. I think a lot of people don't get involved in town government at a very young age, and I'm fortunate that when I got involved, everyone was so supportive. So I'd like to get other people involved so that we have a lot of really good ideas and a good diversity to the town government.
And the other candidate for selectman is the incumbent, Alan Frawley.
I don't think I've ever been called an incumbent before. How you doing? My name is Alan Frawley, and I'm running for the re-election to the Board of Selectmen. I'd like to thank Jane, the Gazette, and the COA for giving all the candidates this opportunity to introduce ourselves to the community. I live at 35 Forest Street with my beautiful wife, Lorraine, and my 2 kids, Kennedy and Sullivan. I had the honor and the pleasure of serving as your selectman for the past 3 years, and I'd like to thank the town for that, and I also hope that you give me the same opportunity for the next 3 years. When I ran 3 years ago, I stated I wanted to reestablish some key fundamentals of leadership on the board: trust, dialogue, and vision. And I think we've been fairly successful. I also stated that the Board of Selectmen needed to be honest, forward-looking, inspiring, and competent, and I think we have been. I still attend as many of the other meetings as I can, and I remain active serving on, to name 2, the EMS Committee and the Capital Planning Committee. I still believe in being proactive on issues facing our town and region, and I couldn't be happier about the team effort that the town put forward in our successful pursuit of a rotary solution and the state adopting the McMahon engineering alternative. As a member of the Board of Selectmen, a resident, and an outdoorsman, I organized a canoe trip down the Nemasket River with fellow Selectman John Knowlton, 2 state representatives, and a member of the Board of Selectmen from the town of Lakeville, in an effort to better understand the flooding issues in the Assawampset Pond Complex and the Nemasket River. There have been a few successes in the past 3 years. Residents of Edgeway Park are just a few steps away from purchasing that park and finally getting that park brought to completion. This board successfully banned a poison that was being sold and marketed towards children as the Board of Health, and our bylaw is now being used as a template for the same ban in surrounding communities. 3 years ago, I spoke about ambition for Middleborough to thrive and to prosper in the future, and I think I still have that ambition, and I believe every other member of the board shares that as well. I think we are headed in the right direction. Some of my ideas for the next 3 years are to get some type of resolution to that unofficial dump on Auburn Street, to work as hard as I can for the best possible education system for our town, and to do the best that I can to adequately staff public safety departments. I strongly encourage everyone to learn as much as possible about the proposed renovation of the police station and to vote at town meeting and at the special election. I fully support the proposed renovation addition plan that we have. If anyone else has any issues that I can be of assistance with, please get in touch with me. One issue that we have to get in front of right away is this epidemic of drug use and overdoses in our region. We're losing too many people to this, and we need to look at all of our options to educate and prevent our kids from starting this, to prosecute the dealers to the fullest extent, and for those that do end up becoming addicted, we have to treat this as the disease that it is. On a lighter note, we have some great events coming up in the next few weeks. First off, the Herring Run will be starting any day now. Get down to Oliver Mill and Thomas Park and check out the most successful herring run on the Eastern Seaboard. On April 11th, 12th, and 13th, please stop by the first annual Herring Run Festival. It will be something for everybody. Food, music, artisans, seminars, magic shows, you name it. One of my favorite springtime annual rituals, the Nemasket River Canoe Race, to benefit the Parks Department, is on May 10th at 11 a.m. If anyone needs an extra canoe or anything else to get in the race, we can find you that equipment. I'll be returning to defend my title as this single canoe division. To say that I've learned a lot in the past 3 years would be an understatement. I enjoy my role as a selectman, and I thrive on being the best selectman I can be. I hope you allow me to continue to learn and to grow as a selectman and to use what I've learned so far to continue to help Middleborough be the best that we can be. So please don't forget to vote on April 5th. Please vote for me. And to my wife, Lorraine. She makes a real big sacrifice, and just want to say thank you to her for allowing me to run again. Thank you.
Are there questions for the selectmen candidate?
I just have one for you. What time is the election on that Saturday? What hours?
It's 8 in the morning till 8 at night. Somebody must have a selectman question.
I don't have a question, but I do want to commend all of you. Diane, you're running new, but Alan and Richard and Brian and whoever is uncontested, you're all uncontested. You didn't have to be here. You didn't have to do this. It just lets us know how serious you are about your job. And we're lucky to have you. You know, we may not agree with every single thing you say, but you're out there doing your best, and that's all we can ask. Thank you.
Well said.
I have a question for the selectmen.
Okay.
For Diane, what do you think is your biggest challenge? And for Alan, what has been your biggest challenge so far? And I say so far.
My biggest challenge, well, I think one of the challenges that I face is my age. I'm younger than most people that become selectmen, so I think that can be an advantage as well. I have a different perspective than probably several of the selectmen that are on the board right now, so I think I can bring a diversity to that. Most of the other selectmen have had, very long careers. I've been in practice for, a little over 4 years, so I'm learning. But I think that maybe is my biggest challenge for right now. I think that when I start on the board of selectmen, I love research and I love reading, and so I can't wait to start to get started on everything that the board is going to be working on. So I think that'll change.
Other than me.
I don't think I've even spoken to you as a selectman in the past 3 years. I'd say that the hardest thing about being a selectman for me is I work 50, 60 hours a week, and I can't get to the state meetings during the day, and they have a legislative luncheon from 8 to 9 in the morning next week. And anybody who works for a living, no one here gets paid a penny. So it's very difficult to take time off from work to go to these things and to be a part of that. I have taken plenty of time off from work, and I go to as many of these things as I can. But it seems like you get penalized for being a volunteer local politician. I think we should get extra credit for that, But getting I'm pretty lucky. We've had a pretty good board over the past 3 years. It's changed a little bit, but Al Rulo was he was a staple there, and I wish he never left. I thought he did a great job as a selectman. He did have an opportunity to go to a lot of things during the day and stuff. But one of the best things about the board, and I don't see this changing with the addition of Diane, is that we can get together, we can talk, we can figure things out. And when we don't agree, we don't agree. And on the next issue, we will agree if that's the way it is. But it's nothing personal. It's not a long-term thing. Everybody up there has good ideas. And as long as we keep those lines of communication and we have civil debates amongst each other and back and forth with ideas, I think we'll be, again, continuing in the right direction. But the time's the toughest. My kids, they know I'm going to a meeting when I put a tie on. So that's tough. But I love it, and I'm doing it to try to make Middleborough the best place it can be for them. They're gonna be products of the Middleborough school system. They're gonna live in this town for as long as until they decide to move away. I'm staying. My wife's staying. We're here. But the biggest thing, honestly, coming up in the future is this drug problem. It's crazy. it petrifies me to think what my kids are 4 and 1.5, and I don't know what's gonna happen. But I don't know what to do about it, but we're gonna do something. I'm gonna do everything I can, and I'll probably be talking to the school committee quite a bit over the next couple of years, depending on how that statement of intent comes back. And when's it coming back? January.
Next year.
In January, and we're gonna see what the state has to say about our high school. I'll have to look forward to that, so.
Thanks.
Does anybody else have a question for anybody? Up here. Okay, anybody have any, did you have a question? No. Did anybody want to say a few last words on any topic?
I'll just mention that, as what Alan was saying about the drug situation in Middleborough, regionally, it's not just Middleborough. We actually had a program at the middle school for parents just recently. We're going to continue to have these programs for parents because it's the unknown. The parents don't even know if it's happening. That is the scariest thing. It's one time. It's all it takes is that one time. And then on top of that, we also have a program coming up for teaching parents on the issues of the internet use by their youngsters. How to put it that way, that's coming up, I believe, on April 9th, and I'll be announcing that at one of the selectmen's meetings. I'm fortunate that the selectmen allow me, as a member of the school committee, as part of our community outreach, to announce these upcoming events. But that's an event that's coming up because drugs are an absolute horrible situation, but these other little situations, for instance, what the teens are doing online is a tough situation, and it's a forever. Once a photo gets out, it'll be there forever. So those types of programs are coming out as well to help outside of education. I guess it is educating our children and our parents, but it's not always reading, writing, and arithmetic. There are these other things too that we're helping with. Like I said, I'll be mentioning at the board meeting coming up.
Yes.
I just wanted to, I didn't know how to go about announcing that I was a candidate. I'm brand new, but I'm running for candidate for the Middleborough Gas and Electric Commission. And my name's Teresa Hubbard Scott, Terry. Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were here.
No, I didn't, like I said, I didn't know who to see or what.
Well, would you like to come up
Sure.
and say a few words?
Any words? Hello, my name is Teresa Hubbard Scott. I like to be called Terry. I feel like I'm in trouble if I'm Teresa. I live here in Middleborough. I've been here about 8 years. I live on Everett Street, and I have 3 children and 4 grandchildren, which are my life, and I love them so much, and I'm the babysitting meanie nanny. I've served in Middleborough, not through government, but through the Middleborough Elks Lodge, and in that capacity, I'm a past exalted ruler. I'm an officer of the year. I do work with the town. I'm a member of St. Vincent de Paul. I established a giving tree for Christmas where families that are in a little need for extra help for Christmas, no child goes without a present out of the Elks as long as we get their names. And we can take about 50 names to 70 names, and the membership steps up and they buy the presents. I work for Toys for Tots, so the kids that are getting things from the Christmas tree, they're usually, the parents are asking for clothes, and a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, they want a toy. 8-year-olds, they want to have something under the tree that they can play with. So I used to take a toy from Toys for Tots and match it with the card with what the child's age and sex is. I help with the school system. We donate dictionaries to every 3rd grade student, and they get to keep them, and the kids are really excited about it. I get thank you notes from the kids, and they like going in and looking for a word, and the teachers actually use them. You think about the internet. Why do kids need a dictionary? But they do like it, and they are using it. I use it too sometimes. We service the towns of Middleborough, Lakeville, Carver, Bridgewater, and Halifax. Those same schools are eligible for Americanism contest where there's a theme every year. And this year, what does Veterans Day mean to me? And the children write essay, and it's, 5th to 6th graders. They write their essay. It comes back to the lodge, and we choose the winners. This year I did an Olympic theme. First, second, and third place got the gold, silver, and bronze medals. And the kids were really excited about it. And it makes me feel really good seeing these kids do stuff like that. We try to do drug awareness. I know sometimes the schools don't really want drug awareness in there. But this past summer, I brought in our drug awareness trailer, and we got a lot of activity there. So, you know, if we can continue doing that, that's great. I also help the veterans. We do cell phone program where the cell phones are turned in and turn the phone cards. So I'm very active in the town between the veterans, youth, and a lot of other things. And the reason why is getting involved in this is because I've never really been part of town government. You know, I've owned my own home. You go to a meeting whenever. My career at the Elks is taking a pause. And I was asked to do this position, and I was really intrigued by it. And I felt honored that the gentleman that wanted me to run, so I did. And I went to my first meeting last night. I really have no idea exactly what the commission does yet, so I'm going to be a work in progress, like a new selectman coming in. You know, I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to work hard, and I will still continue doing the community activities that I've mentioned, because I too believe that volunteering for your town, I want to be part of this town, and I have the capabilities of doing that because I don't work during the day, so I can show up at things during the day. But I hope you consider me for the position, Middleborough Gas and Electric Commission. I am running unopposed, so I'll have my husband vote for me or me. Thank you very much.
Does anybody have a question for Teresa? I'm sorry, I called you Teresa.
That's all right. I answer.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I didn't
That's
realize
okay.
you
It's
were
my
here.
fault.
I think Ellie said it better than I could, but I do appreciate all of you. You could be doing something much more casual and interesting maybe tonight than this, but we really appreciate you all coming out and letting the voters know a little bit more about you. And thank you to everybody who gave up their time to be in the audience tonight and go out and vote on April 5th. Thanks.